Now coming to the role of valuation in IBC. What is the role of valuation? So it is a very important base of IBC. So we have just discussed in the very first slide that the code has also accepted and clearly said that the valuation is a process which has been given like a tool to the COC, Committee of Creditors, to help them decide which resolution plan is to be approved in order to, just check around that validity, which plan is perfect for the corporate debtor, right? So it is a tool for comparison, right? So apart from that, at the end of resolution applicant, any acquisition that is intended to be made under IBC that has to be decided in lines with the valuation of under IBC. Deciding future and computing the value of the corporate debtors asset. So we just discussed that COC takes a decision on which resolution plan is to be approved. So in that case, it means that the future of the corporate debtor lies in the valuation, right? CIRP plan is scrutinized in the light of valuation report. So there is a CIRP plan placed and it is scrutinized keeping in view what is the valuation of the company, what is the fair value and the liquidation value of the company. And it is used as a gauge to measure the effectiveness of the resolution plan. In case somehow if the CIRP process is not successful, then you have to go to the next stage, which is the liquidation. Right. So in liquidation, it plays a key role in deciding the reserve price, because when a company is going to liquidation, it has to sell the assets, realize the money and pay off to the creditor. So definitely you need some price, because the sale is usually done by way of auctions. So for doing an auction, you need to find a reserve price, and that reserve price is decided in light of the valuation that has been done. It also plays an important role in analyzing undervalued transactions. So many a time it happens that if the corporate debtor is of the opinion that it might be dragged to insolvency court, so what it does, it starts siphoning off the assets. And in that case, a number of times it happens that assets are transferred at an undervalued price. So whenever it comes to the knowledge of the insolvency professional that certain assets have been transferred at a low price, then he makes an application to the court and gets a correct valuation done. So there also valuation plays a significant role. Now, this is just a quick summary, the valuation requirements under IBC. So right from the CIRP process, then liquidation process, then voluntary liquidation. Then if we go by the correction of undervalued transaction, there also valuation is required. Then a fast track insolvency resolution process, then PPIRP, pre-pack insolvency resolution process, everywhere valuation is a key element. It has to be done mandatorily as prescribed under the law. Now coming to the definition of the valuer and recognition of the valuer. So under CIRP regulation, we have registered valuer, which has been defined as a person registered as such in accordance with Companies Act. So a clear link has been given. It has been properly defined because, as we know, under the Indian law, there are a number of requirements for valuation. Different law prescribe valuation to be done. SARFAESI says that a valuation has to be done, and who is the valuer? He is a person who is registered under 34AB. FEMA says that you have to get a valuation done. Who is a valuer? Definition given. SEBI law says valuation has to be done and it defines the valuer. Similarly, CIRP regulation also says that a valuation has to be done, and who will be the valuer? It will be a registered valuer. And then by way of the circular issued by IBBI, it has been clearly mandated that all valuation from 1st February 2019 will be done by the registered valuer only. Now, what are the values that are required under IBC? So broadly, 3 types of values have to be determined under IBC: fair value, liquidation value, and the realizable value. So when we talk about the CIRP regulation, it clearly says that we have to find 2 types of values: fair value and the liquidation value. And fair value and the liquidation value, both has been defined under the CIRP regulation. So in case you are following the particular valuation standard, you know the concept of departure, right? Because departure says that in case you are doing a valuation in accordance with a valuation standard like IVS, and you have to deviate from IVS for compliance of a particular law, it is called as departure. So under IVS, fair value has not been defined, right? It is not a defined value. right? Reference has been made to give other laws. So when you are doing valuation for the purpose of IBC, you have to go by the definition that has been given under the code. You have to find that value only and not the value as defined under the IVS, right? Now, the fair value clearly says that it is the estimated realizable value of the asset of corporate debtor if they were to be exchanged on insolvency commencement date between a willing buyer, willing seller, arm's length transaction, and so on. Clear understanding is that you have to determine the fair value. What is the valuation date? It is the insolvency commencement date. And what is actually a fair value? It is a value which is based on a concept of going concern. You presume, because every valuation requires certain assumptions to be made. So the underlying assumption is that the corporate debtor is a going concern, right? So there it will be a perfect market, there will be a willing buyer, there will be a willing seller, there will be an arm's length transaction, and there will be proper marketing. So that is the concept of fair value. And then comes the liquidation value, which has been defined as the estimated realizable value of the assets of corporate debtor if the corporate debtor is to be liquidated, on which date again the insolvency commencement date. Third comes the realizable value, which has been mentioned under the liquidation regulation, but unfortunately, no definition has been given of the realizable value, right? Unlike the fair value and the liquidation value, which has been defined under the CIRP regulation, realizable value has not been defined under the liquidation regulation, but you have to find the realizable value. So usually it is inferred that liquidation value less the cost of making the good sellable, right? That is called as realizable value. Now, importance of accurate valuation. Why accurate valuation is very much required under IBC? IBC is a very sensitive law because the fate of an entire corporate debtor is based on the valuation. The resolution plan is examined in the light of valuation, right? So you have to ensure that there is an accurate valuation. So why it is important? Valuation report guides the action of insolvency professional, COC, and NCLT. How the insolvency professional has worked, how efficiently it has worked, how the COC has worked, that all is measured by way of valuation report. Then fair value and the liquidation value, they are used as a statistics mean for the IBBI to release their data and all those things. Then you have to be a registered value typically competes with the market and endeavors to estimate a value which is more authentic than price of the asset. Now you are challenging something which is available in the market to be sold by way of your valuation. You are giving a more accurate value. Then valuation report is a common cause of dispute as well. Number of time it happens that the underlying cause of the dispute is valuation. I'll just discuss one case law, which will help you to understand that how valuation can lead to dispute also, right? Then difference in facts between two valuation report can be a trouble for IRP and RP. How? As we know, under the law, two valuers are to be appointed for each asset category. If the RP or the IRP has not provided complete set of information to both the valuers, something has been missed in providing to one of the valuer, there will be a difference in valuation. So it can be a problem for the resolution professional as well, that he has not complied and he has not provided complete information to the valuers.